The Galactic Conquerors, an alliance of 17 advanced spacefaring civilizations, intercepts a peculiar signal from a previously unmapped solar system. Their instruments reveal a planet in crisis, Earth's atmosphere deteriorating at an alarming rate due to cascading environmental failures. The Conquerors' intelligence director, Zentol, presents footage of the dying world to the council chambers, expecting a routine extinction observation log. But something catches everyone's attention: massive construction platforms orbiting the blue world. These humans aren't panicking. Zentol notes as the holo display zooms in on disciplined work crews building enormous vessels. They're constructing with purpose. The 8-armed Octorian Chancellor leans forward, compound eyes reflecting the holographic imagery. How much time does their world have? Our atmospheric models suggest 5 years, perhaps 6 before total collapse, responds the science minister, a slender Viridian whose translucent skin pulses with bioluminescent data patterns. Yet they build as if they have all the time in the universe. The Conquerors Council chamber falls silent as the holographic display shifts to high orbit. Dozens of massive construction platforms encircle the blue-green planet, each one teeming with activity. Thousands of smaller craft shuttle between the platforms, and the surface in precisely choreographed patterns. There is no chaos, no frantic evacuation, only methodical, purposeful work. Are they constructing escape vessels? Asks the military coordinator, a hulking Taurian whose metallic exoskeleton clicks with each movement. Zentol manipulates the controls, zooming in on one of the partially constructed ships. That's what's puzzling us. These vessels contain no cryogenic chambers, no extended life support systems. They appear to be automated. And look here. The display shifts to show massive storage sections. These compartments are designed for biological preservation, but not for living beings, more like samples. They're collecting their planet's life forms, whispers the cultural preservation minister, her feathered crest rising in surprise. Not to save themselves, but to save their world, finishes Dental. We've observed 17 species enter extinction phases. 15 descended into chaos and violence. 2 attempted desperate technological solutions that only accelerated their demise. None have done this. The Grand Arbiter, oldest among the council, rises from the central podium. His ancient, crystalline form captures and refracts the light from the holographic display, casting prismatic patterns across the chamber walls. When he speaks, his voice resonates through the specialized atmosphere like the ringing of some vast bell. In 3,000 cycles of recorded Conquerors history, we have never witnessed a pre-warp civilization accept extinction with such dignity. He gestures toward the display. These humans know they are dying, yet they build not for themselves, but for their world's legacy. This is unexpected. The military coordinator's armored limbs clatter against the polished floor. Or deeply concerning. A species facing extinction has nothing to lose. What if these vessels contain weapons, biological agents, a final act of vengeance against a universe they blame for their fate? Murmurs ripple through the council chamber as the possibility sinks in. The display shifts again, focusing on Earth's surface. Cities still function. Farms still operate. Children still play in parks beneath atmospheric generators that maintain breathable air in protected zones. There is no evidence of civilization's collapse, only of its careful, measured continuation for as long as possible. They continue to maintain their society even as they prepare for its end, notes the cultural preservation minister. How extraordinary. The Grand Arbiter's crystalline form pulses with internal light as he considers this development. This warrants closer investigation, not for a distance, but up close. Send an observation team. Maximum stealth protocols. I want to know what these humans are building and why. If they're planning some final aggressive act, we must be prepared. If not, his voice trails off, the crystalline tones resonating long after he stops speaking. If not, we may be witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. As the council disperses, Gental remains, watching the holographic display. On the blue world, night falls across one hemisphere, but the construction platforms remain illuminated, their activity unceasing. Humanity, facing its end, works on, steady, purposeful, and utterly mysterious. What are you building? Gental whispers to the silent display. And why do you face your extinction with such grace? Commander Xelvora stands motionless on the observation deck of the _distant inquiry _. Her 4 eyes fixed on the blue-green world growing larger in the view screen. Earth. Such a simple name for a planet facing such a complex end. As a veteran xenological surveyor, she's documented 7 civilizations in collapse, from the self-destructive Praxians to the environmentally doomed Vex. But none like this. Stealth systems are holding, reports her second-in-command, Trell. His exoskeleton kicks softly as he manipulates the ship's controls. Their orbital tracking network is surprisingly sophisticated for a pre-warp civilization, but we're staying just beyond their detection threshold. Xelvora nods, her scaled skin shifting through shades of blue-grey as she processes this information. Begin passive data collection. I want everything: communications, resource allocation patterns, social dynamics. What does a species do when it knows exactly when it will die? The answer emerges within hours as the _distant inquiries _systems decrypt Earth's unprotected broadcasts. Holographic displays throughout the ship reveal images of a civilization operating with remarkable precision and purpose. News reports speak of the Terminus Protocol, a global initiative commanding 90% of Earth's remaining resources. 5 years, 3 months, 17 days, murmurs Xelvora, reviewing a human calendar. They've calculated their extinction to the day. Science Officer Mike, a Viridian whose translucent skin reveals the complex neural pathways of her species, approaches with a data tablet. Commander, I'd analyzed their atmospheric degradation. Their models are accurate, possibly conservative. When the cascade reaction reaches critical threshold, complex life will become unsustainable within a single planetary rotation. And yet they waste no time on blame or despair, Xelvora observes, gesturing toward a screen showing humans working methodically at a construction platform. Look at their efficiency. The ship's cultural specialist, a Tellusian named Sora, whose feathered crest rises with excitement, joins them. Commander, I've detected something remarkable in their communication patterns. Former enemy nations are now sharing technologies freely. Scientists who once competed now collaborate openly. It's as if their impending extinction has unified them. Xelvora finishes. Fascinating. She watches footage of a human ceremony where leaders from nations that historical records show were once bitter enemies now sign resource-sharing agreements without hesitation. Other screens show children planting trees in newly established preservation zones, knowing they'll never see them mature. Engineers work double shifts on the orbital platforms, designing vessels they will never pilot. I want to move closer, Xelvora decides suddenly. Trell's exoskeleton rattles, his species equivalent of a startled ghast. Commander, the Concordat protocols for pre-warp civilizations are explicit. Maximum observation distance must be maintained unless the observation target demonstrates exceptional characteristics warranting closer study. Selvora completes the regulation, her scales shifting to a determined amber. I would say a species facing extinction with such dignity more than qualifies. She moves to the command center, her decision made. Adjust our orbit. Take us behind their moon, then establish a closer surveillance position. I want detailed scans of those construction platforms. The _distant inquiry _ slips silently around Earth's moon, its advanced propulsion system leaving no signature detectable by human technology. As they emerge, Earth hangs before them in terrible beauty, a world visibly dying. Atmospheric scanners detect the spreading chemical imbalance that will eventually render the planet uninhabitable. Yet the orbital construction continues unabated. Detailed scans of Platform 7 coming through, announces Mike, her skin pulsing with excited bioluminescence. Commander, you need to see this. The holographic display reveals the true nature of the massive vessels under construction. They contain no living quarters, no provisions for human survivors. Instead, each houses thousands of automated terraforming units, biological preservation chambers, and sophisticated seed banks. They're not trying to save themselves, whispers Selvora, understanding dawning like a second sun. They're saving their world's life, its plants, animals, ecosystems. But not themselves, confirms Sora, her feathers drooping slightly in what her species registers as profound respect. Selvora stares at the construction platforms, at the humans working with quiet determination, building Orcs they will never board. Something shifts within her multi-chambered heart. The Concordat must see this, she decides. Prepare a direct quantum transmission to the Council. Priority level Alpha. As her crew hurries to comply, Selvora remains transfixed by the view screen. Her scales shift involuntarily to deep purple, the colour her species reserves for moments of profound revelation. We came to observe an extinction, she murmurs. Instead, we may be witnessing the most extraordinary act of preservation the galaxy has ever seen. In the gleaming control centre of United Earth Command headquarters in Geneva, a red alert flashes across the primary monitor. Captain Sofia Rodriguez studies the orbital scan data, her expression shifting from concentration to verification to certainty. The specialized detection array, technology that had drained 3 months of precious global resources to construct, has performed exactly as designed. Admiral Santos, she says, turning to the commanding officer, we have confirmation. Unknown vessel, non-terrestrial origin, currently positioned in lunar orbit. Stealth technology detected, but our quantum displacement sensors caught their gravimetric signature during repositioning. Admiral Helena Santos, a veteran of Earth's final wars before unification, approaches the display. Her weathered face reveals nothing as she studies the data points marking the alien vessel's trajectory. Around them, the control room staff continues their work with disciplined precision. No panic, no raised voices, just the quiet efficiency that has become humanity's hallmark since the countdown began. How long have they been observing us? The Admiral asks. Based on trajectory analysis, approximately 72 hours, Rodriguez responds. They're being careful, but they've moved closer twice now. The last maneuver brought them within range of our secondary detection grid. Admiral Santos considers this information, her dark eyes reflecting the blue glow of the monitors. After a measured silence, she makes a decision that surprises everyone in the command center. Open a channel, she instructs. Standard greeting protocol. Captain Rodriguez blinks in surprise. Ma'am, the Terminus Protocol contingency plans call for continued observation if extraterrestrial contact is established. We're supposed to maintain radio silence and... I know the protocols, Captain. Santos interrupts gently. I helped write them. But I've been watching these visitors for 3 days. If they wanted to interfere with the Terminus launches, they've had ample opportunity. They're curious, not hostile. Her voice softens. Besides, we've always wondered if we were alone. Seems a shame to die without saying hello. Within minutes, a precisely calibrated transmission beams toward the alien vessel. A simple mathematical sequence followed by a formal greeting in Earth's 12 most spoken languages. The message concludes with an unexpected invitation. Coordinates for a landing zone within the Geneva complex and a time, 12 hours hence. On board the _distant inquiry _ Commander Xelvora stares at the translated human message in stunned silence. They detected us, Trell states unnecessarily, his exoskeleton clicking rapidly in agitation. Concordat protocols mandate immediate withdrawal if stealth is compromised. Xelvora dismisses this with a wave of her scaled hand. They're inviting us down, Trell. They know they're dying. They've detected an alien presence, and their response is curiosity. Her 4 eyes blink in sequence, a gesture indicating profound interest among her species. The Concordat protocols never anticipated this scenario. It could be a trap, warns the security officer, a Taurian whose metallic skin gleams under the ship's lights. Sora, the cultural specialist, trills softly, her species equivalent of derisive laughter. To what end? Their civilization has 5 years remaining. What strategic advantage would attacking one observation vessel provide? Decision crystallizes in Xelvora's mind. Prepare the landing shuttle. Sora, Mick, you'll accompany me. Trell, maintain command of the _distant inquiry _ and keep quantum communications open with the Concordat. 6 hours later, the alien shuttle descends through Earth's thinning atmosphere, navigating precisely to the provided coordinates. Below, the United Earth complex stretches across what was once international territory, a vast installation of gleaming buildings, research facilities, and the central hub coordinating the Terminus launches. As the shuttle touches down on the landing pad, Xelvora observes with surprise that the Human Welcome Committee is small, just 5 individuals waiting calmly. No military presence visible, no weapons, no dramatic ceremony, just quiet dignity. The shuttle door opens, and Xelvora leads her team into Earth's atmosphere, her specialized breathing apparatus filtering the increasingly toxin-laden air. The humans step forward, led by a poised woman whose silver-streaked dark hair is pulled back in a simple knot. I am Dr. Eleanor Chen, diplomatic representative of United Earth, she says in clear, measured tones. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to our world. A slight smile touches her lips. We wondered when someone would notice us. Xelvora, trained for countless first contact scenarios, but finding none of them applicable, responds with simple truth. I am Commander Xelvora of the Galactic Concordat vessel _distant inquiry _. We did not expect to be invited down. Dr. Chen's smile widens slightly. You're actually the 3rd species to observe our work, but the first brave enough to introduce yourselves. She gestures toward the complex behind her. Please join us. We have much to discuss, and contrary to appearances, time is the one resource we cannot spare. As they walk toward the complex, Selvora notices something extraordinary. The humans aren't afraid. They show no desperation, no terror at their impending extinction. Only a calm, focused purpose that she finds more alien than any physiological difference between their species. Your world, Selvora begins hesitantly. We know about its condition. We know how little time remains. Dr. Chen nods, her expression serene. Then you understand why every moment matters. We have a legacy to complete before the end. The terminus Platform 7 stretches nearly 3 kilometers across Earth's orbit, a marvel of engineering that Commander Selvora can scarcely believe was constructed by a pre-warp civilization. Dr. Chen leads the alien delegation through the central corridor, her steady pace betraying no sense of the grandeur surrounding them. Workers nod respectfully as they pass, but continue their tasks without interruption. Every human moves with purpose, their actions precise and economical. We have 732 platforms like this one in Earth orbit, Dr. Chen explains. Each responsible for constructing between 1 and 5 seed ships, depending on size classification. Over 1,000 vessels. Mick whispers, her translucent skin pulsing with calculations. The resource expenditure must be astronomical. Dr. Chen's expression remains composed. 97% of Earth's remaining viable resources are dedicated to the Terminus Protocol. We maintain only what's necessary for essential operations until completion. They enter a vast chamber overlooking the partially constructed interior of a massive ship. Below them, automated systems and human technicians work in seamless coordination, loading specialized containers into carefully designed compartments. This is Seed Ship Avalon, Dr. Chen announces with subtle pride. 3 weeks from completion. One of our Class 1 vessels, designed to terraform and seed larger planetary bodies. Selvora studies the schematics displayed on nearby monitors. Her training in xenological evaluation allows her to quickly grasp the vessel's purpose, confirming what they had begun to suspect from orbit. These aren't evacuation ships, she states. There are no cryogenic chambers, no life support systems for long-term human habitation. Dr. Chen nods, seemingly pleased by the alien's perception. Correct. These are not arcs for humanity. They are arcs for Earth itself. She gestures toward the specialized containers being loaded. Each ship carries terraforming equipment, comprehensive biological archives, and seed banks containing genetic material representing every species we've been able to catalogue, from microscopic bacteria to our largest mammals. She leads them to a sealed chamber where technicians in cleanroom suits carefully process biological samples. Through the observation window, Selvora watches as a technician seals what appears to be a small amber-coloured disc into a protective casing. That single disc contains the complete genetic sequence of over 500 avian species, Dr. Chen explains, along with environmental parameters, incubation requirements, and ecological role data. You're preserving your entire biosphere. Sora breathes, her feathered crest rising in astonishment. As much as we can, Dr. Chen confirms. We estimate we'll achieve approximately 94% coverage of all extant species by launch date, with priority given to keystone species critical for establishing functional ecosystems. They continue through the platform, passing chambers filled with technological marvels, automated terraforming units designed to transform alien worlds, atmospheric processors, and sustainable energy systems. Each seed ship also carries a comprehensive archive of human knowledge. Dr. Chen continues as they enter a data center. Our art, literature, music, scientific discoveries, philosophical treatises, historical records, not as a monument to our achievements, but as context for the life we send forward. Zelvora's four eyes blink in sequence as understanding dawns. You're not trying to save yourselves. You accepted that impossibility years ago. Yes, Dr. Chen says simply, individual survival was never the objective of the Terminus Protocol. But why? Asks Mike, her scientific mind struggling with the concept. Without humans to witness it, what purpose does preserving Earth's life serve? Dr. Chen leads them to a viewing platform overlooking the nearly completed seed ship. Workers move across its hull, applying the final sensor arrays and navigation systems. The vessel gleams under the work lights, beautiful and purposeful. 5 billion years of evolution created Earth's biosphere, she replies. Countless species lived, adapted, and contributed to the web of life that eventually produced human consciousness. That tapestry of life deserves continuation, regardless of whether we survive to witness it. She turns to face the aliens directly, her eyes reflecting the same quiet determination Zelvora has observed in every human they've encountered. Earth will die, but life from Earth will continue, just not human life. Her voice carries no trace of self-pity. Each seed ship is programmed to locate a suitable planetary body, establish orbit, and begin automated terraforming procedures. They will create the conditions necessary for Earth's life to take root and evolve again, perhaps one day creating new intelligence, new consciousness, new possibilities. Zelvora feels something shift in her understanding of what advanced civilization truly means. In all the Concordat's history, they had never encountered a species willingly orchestrating its own ecological succession, rather than fighting extinction to the bitter end. The ships leave in 6 weeks. Dr. Chen continues, checking her data tablet. We would be honoured if the Concordat would bear witness to the launch. It would be fitting to have someone remember that humanity's final act was one of creation rather than despair. As they prepare to return to the main complex, Zelvora pauses before a memorial wall covered with photographs of Earth's diverse ecosystems: rainforests, coral reefs, Arctic tundra, vast grasslands. Below each image, a simple status indicator: preserved, preserved, preserved. Your species faces extinction with remarkable grace, she observes quietly. Dr. Chen's smile holds a depth of wisdom that transcends their different biologies. We had time to move beyond denial and anger. What remains is purpose. The quantum communication chamber aboard the _distant inquiry hums with energy as Commander Zelvora completes her detailed report to the Concordat Council. The holographic projections of 17 council members float before her, their expressions ranging from fascination to deep concern. Your findings are remarkable, Commander, acknowledges the Grand Arbiter, his crystalline form shimmering. These humans demonstrate a level of ecological altruism unprecedented in our records. I respectfully submit that we should support their Terminus Protocol, Zelvora says, her scales shifting to confident amber. Their seed ships pose no threat to Concordat interests, and the preservation of their biosphere would enrich galactic biodiversity. The military coordinator's metallic exoskeleton clicks sharply. New information has come to light, Commander. Intelligence Division has completed deep scans of the human vessels. You should review their findings immediately. The transmission ends abruptly, replaced by technical schematics that make Zelvora's four eyes widen in sequence. Buried within each seed ship's design, concealed beneath layers of terraforming equipment and biological preservation systems, lie sophisticated weapons platforms, unlike anything in Concordat records. This can't be right, she whispers, but the data is unequivocal. 2 hours later, Zelvora sits across from Dr. Chen in a conference room at United Earth Command. Between them, a holographic projection displays the hidden weapons systems discovered within the seed ships. "You concealed this from us," Zelvora states, her scales darkening with concern. Dr. Chen regards the projection calmly, showing neither surprise nor alarm at being discovered. "We didn't conceal it, Commander. We simply hadn't reached that part of the tour." These weapons platforms could destroy entire planetary defense systems, Zelvora points out. The energy conversion technology alone is beyond anything the Concordat has developed. Yes, Dr. Chen acknowledges simply, "We call it the Terminus deterrent." She stands and approaches the window overlooking Geneva. Below, the city continues to function efficiently despite the atmospheric processors visible in the distance, working constantly to maintain breathable air. 50 years ago, our scientists discovered a fundamental principle of physics that apparently your civilization has yet to encounter: a method of converting matter directly into precisely targeted energy across vast distances. Her voice remains measured, educational. For decades, Earth's nations maintained a fragile peace by adhering to a doctrine called mutually assured destruction. No nation would attack another because retaliation would destroy both. She turns back to face Zelvora. "When we accepted that Earth would die, we faced a question. How do we ensure our legacy survives in a galaxy filled with unknown civilizations?" Zelvora's scales shift to a troubled grey. "So you armed your seed ships?" "We protected them," Dr. Chen corrects gently. "Each vessel carries enough defensive capability to deter any attempt at interference. The Terminus deterrent follows a simple protocol. We only strike once." The meaning crystallizes in Zelvora's mind. If any civilization attempts to destroy a seed ship, then that civilization will receive a single devastating response, Dr. Chen finishes. No warnings, no negotiations, no second chances. Just one strike of such magnitude that there would never need to be a second. She returns to her seat, her expression softening slightly. "Understand, Commander, these systems activate only if the seed ships are directly threatened. They will never initiate conflict. They exist solely to ensure Earth's legacy reaches its destination." Zelvora studies the human woman carefully. "Your species possesses technology that could have conquered neighboring star systems, yet you focused on preservation instead of expansion. Even now, you arm your vessels only with defensive capabilities." "We had the time and perspective to move beyond conquest," Dr. Chen replies. "When you know exactly how much time your civilization has left, priorities become very clear." An alert chimes on Dr. Chen's tablet. She checks it, then looks up at Zelvora with an expression of gentle amusement. "It appears your Concordat vessels have moved into a defensive formation around Earth. 4 warships decloaking on our long-range sensors." Zelvora's scales flush with embarrassment. "The Council didn't inform me of this deployment." "It's an understandable response," Dr. Chen says without resentment. "Your civilization has discovered that a pre-warp species possesses technology that could threaten your security. Caution is reasonable." She sets her tablet down deliberately. "But your council should understand something, Commander Zelvora. We detected your warships the moment they entered our solar system. We could have activated the Terminus deterrent at any time. The implication hangs between them. Humans had possessed the capability to destroy the Concordat fleet from the beginning, but had chosen restraint. We will complete our work regardless of the Concordat's position," Dr. Chen continues. "The seed ships will launch in 6 weeks. They will carry Earth's legacy to the stars. And they will be protected by the most powerful defensive system the galaxy has ever seen. Her eyes meet Selvora's with calm certainty. We hope for acceptance, Commander, but we prepare for resistance. Xelvora understands with sudden clarity that she has misjudged these humans from the beginning. Their grace in facing extinction wasn't merely philosophical acceptance. It was backed by the absolute confidence of a species that had created the ultimate insurance policy for their legacy. "I need to speak with the Council immediately," she says. The Grand Concordat chamber erupts into chaos as Selvora's report concludes. The 17 members speak over one another, their various biological communication methods, from the Viridian's bioluminescent pulses to the Taurian's metallic clicks, creating a cacophony that forces the Grand Arbiter to activate the harmonic dampening field. Order, the crystalline being resonates, sending prismatic patterns across the chamber walls. We will address this situation with the discipline befitting the Concordat. As the chamber quiets, Ambassador Krez of the Viridian Collective rises, his translucent skin flashing with urgent patterns. These humans possess matter-energy conversion technology that surpasses our own theoretical models. The implications are staggering. If even one of their seed ships reaches a habitable world, it could eventually develop into a civilization with this same capability. They're effectively achieving immortality through their seed ships, while possessing the power to annihilate any who interfere, adds military coordinator Dextai, her exoskeleton clicking rapidly. We cannot allow such a destabilizing element to propagate throughout the galaxy. Xelvora stands firm before the Council, her scales now a determined amber. With respect, I've observed these humans directly. They seek only to preserve their biosphere, not to threaten others. Their weapons are purely defensive. They will not strike unless provoked. A convenient claim, scoffs Ambassador Kraz. Yet they concealed these weapons initially. What else might they be hiding? The Tellusian representative, Elder Shenmue, rises slowly, her ancient feathered form commanding immediate respect. The chamber falls silent. The Tellusians, with their 1,000-year lifespans, rarely speak at council gatherings, but when they do, all listen. I have reviewed Commander Selvora's complete observations, she begins, her melodic voice soft yet penetrating. These humans face extinction with remarkable clarity. They created the ultimate deterrent, yet chose to reveal it rather than use it preemptively. Her feathered crest rises slowly. They seek only to protect their legacy, not to conquer or destroy. There is profound wisdom in their approach. Military Coordinator Dextai's exoskeleton rattles dismissively. Wisdom, or cunning, they've positioned 1,000 armed vessels to spread throughout the galaxy. The strategic implications are irrelevant if we understand their true intent, interrupts Xelvora with uncharacteristic passion. I've walked among them. I've witnessed their dignity in the face of extinction. They aren't plotting galactic domination. They've accepted their end. All they wish is for Earth's evolutionary journey to continue elsewhere. The chamber divides into factions, arguments flowing back and forth. Some demand immediate military action to neutralize the seed ships before launch. Others advocate for respecting humanity's final act. The debate grows heated, with ancient rivalries between member species resurfacing under the pressure of this unprecedented situation. Throughout it all, the Grand Arbiter observes silently, his crystalline form absorbing and refracting the chamber's light. Finally he speaks. The matter before us is unique in Concordat history, he resonates. Never have we encountered a pre-warp civilization possessing technology that exceeds our own in any domain. Never have we witnessed a species face extinction with such grace and foresight. He turns to Zelvora. Commander, you have spent the most time among these humans. Do you believe they speak truthfully when they claim their weapons are purely defensive? Zelvora considers carefully before answering. Grand Arbiter, they detected our warships immediately yet took no action. Their Terminus deterrent could have eliminated our fleet at any moment, but they chose restraint. I believe this reflects their true character. Meanwhile, on Earth, the United Council receives regular updates on the Concordat's deliberations through their quantum surveillance network. Dr. Chen sits in her office, reviewing the translated debates while monitoring the Terminus Protocol's final preparations. Admiral Santos enters, her uniform impeccable despite the late hour. The Concordat seems divided, she observes, studying the holographic feed. Some advocate for military intervention. As expected, Dr. Chen replies calmly, "Fear is a natural response to the unknown." Should we accelerate the launch schedule? The Admiral asks. We could have the first wave of siege ships ready in 72 hours. Dr. Chen considers this, then shakes her head. No, we maintain our timeline. Rushing now would only validate their concerns about our intentions. She rises and approaches the window, where the lights of Geneva shine beneath atmospheric processors that glow faintly in the twilight. Humanity spent centuries racing for resources, for power, for security. In our final chapter, we found a different rhythm. Methodical, deliberate, peaceful, despite our capacity for destruction. And if they attempt to destroy the siege ships, the Admiral asks quietly. Dr. Chen's expression remains serene, though her eyes harden slightly. Then the Terminus deterrent activates, but only then. We've come too far to abandon our principles now. On her desk, a small bonsai tree grows in a carefully maintained microclimate, one of Earth's countless living treasures, soon to be preserved among the stars. Dr. Chen tends to it with gentle precision, a simple act of care that encapsulates humanity's final mission. The siege ships will launch as scheduled, she says with quiet certainty. Whether with the Concordat's blessing or despite their interference, Earth's legacy continues either way. Violent storms rage across Earth's deteriorating surface, a visible manifestation of the planet's accelerating death. Acid rain scours once fertile plains, while electromagnetic disturbances create aurora displays visible even during daylight. Inside Geneva's atmospheric dome, however, the United Earth Command continues its work with characteristic precision and calm. After 3 weeks of contentious deliberation, the Concordat finally reaches its decision. Commander Zelvora's shuttle descends through the turbulent atmosphere, escorted by 2 human aircraft, an honor guard rather than a security measure. Below, the city's protective dome gleams in the strange, filtered sunlight. In the council chamber, Earth's leadership awaits. Dr. Chen stands at the center, flanked by Admiral Santos and representatives from Earth's former nations, now united by common purpose. As Zelvora enters, she notes their composed expressions, neither hopeful nor anxious. These humans have already accepted whatever outcome may come. Commander Zelvora, Dr. Chen greets her with a small, formal bow. "We welcome your return to Earth." Zelvora returns the gesture, her scales shifting through patterns of formal respect. The Concordat Council has reached its decision regarding the Terminus Protocol. She activates a holographic display showing the official decree, translated into Earth's languages. The siege ships will be permitted to launch as scheduled. However, the Concordat will establish monitoring stations to track their trajectories. If any vessel deviates from its stated terraforming objective, the Concordat reserves the right to neutralize it. A subtle release of tension moves through the human delegation, not celebration, merely acknowledgement. Dr. Chen nods once. We accept these terms. The monitoring stations will observe nothing but our stated purpose. There are additional provisions, Selvora continues. The Concordat requests regular data transmissions from the seed ships to verify their activities. And she hesitates. The Council remains concerned about the Terminus deterrent technology. They request a non-interference agreement stating that this technology will never be used against Concordat worlds. Dr. Chen exchanges glances with Admiral Santos, who gives an almost imperceptible nod. These terms are acceptable, Dr. Chen responds. We will provide the requested data transmissions. As for the non-interference agreement, we will sign it, though it merely formalizes what was always our intention. The formal proceedings conclude efficiently, documents exchanged, agreements recorded. The human delegation disperses to continue launch preparations, leaving Dr. Chen and Selvora alone in the chamber. Would you walk with me, Commander? Dr. Chen asks unexpectedly. There's something I'd like to show you before you return to your ship. They leave the command complex and enter an adjacent structure, Geneva's ancient Jardin Botanique, now enclosed under the atmospheric dome. Despite Earth's deterioration, this conservatory remains vibrant, preserving plant species from around the world. They walk silently between flowering orchids and towering palms until reaching a Japanese garden where a cherry tree blooms impossibly out of season. We maintain these gardens as both archive and remembrance, Dr. Chen explains, touching a delicate pink blossom. Our botanists collect samples from every plant here for the seed ships. She turns to face Selvora directly. There's something the Concordat should know, Commander. Something I've been authorized to share with you alone. From her pocket, she withdraws a small crystal sphere that glows with internal light. We detected your civilization's quantum communications network 17 years ago. Selvora's scales shift to startled blue. That's impossible. Our stealth protocols were impressive, but not perfect. Dr. Chen finishes gently. For nearly 2 decades, we've had the capability to monitor Concordat communications. We mapped your worlds, your defenses, your vulnerabilities. Understanding dawns in Selvora's 4 eyes. You could have struck preemptively, before we even knew you existed. Yes, Dr. Chen acknowledges simply. The Terminus deterrent was operational long before your observation fleet arrived. We could have eliminated all Concordat vessels in our system with a single command. She holds out the crystal sphere. This contains complete technical specifications for our matter-energy conversion technology. I'm giving it to you, a gift from humanity to the Concordat. Selvora stares at the sphere, unable to comprehend. You're giving us your most powerful weapon. Why? Because our true legacy isn't the weapon itself, but our decision never to use it first. Dr. Chen explains, her voice soft but firm. We faced extinction with the power to lash out, to conquer, to dominate, and we chose creation instead. Hesitantly, Selvora accepts the sphere, its weight surprisingly substantial in her scaled hand. The implications are staggering. A pre-warp civilization freely sharing technology that could reshape the power balance of the galaxy. The Concordat doesn't deserve this trust, she admits quietly. Dr. Chen smiles, a genuine expression that reaches her eyes. Perhaps not, but giving it anyway is what makes us human. She touches the cherry blossoms again, their pink petals luminous in the filtered light. Remember us not for what we created, but for what we chose not to destroy. As they walk back toward the command complex, Selvora realizes she's witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. A species meeting its end, not with desperation or rage, but with an act of profound trust that will transform those who survive them. 5 years later, Earth's atmosphere has thinned beyond the threshold needed for complex life. What remains is a toxic mixture, incapable of supporting the rich biodiversity that once flourished across the planet's surface. The oceans have largely acidified, their once teeming ecosystems reduced to the hardiest microbial survivors. Only at the poles, where emergency habitats maintain artificial environments, do the last human outposts remain. From the observation vessel _Eternal Witness Xelvora, now serving as the Concordate's ambassador to human legacy, watches the final phase of humanity's grand design unfold. The ship holds position at a respectful distance, accompanied by representatives from all 17 Concordate species. Even those who once advocated against the Terminus Protocol now bear witness to its culmination. Ambassador, we're receiving the final transmission from Geneva Base, reports her communications officer. On screen, Dr. Eleanor Chen appears. 5 years have etched deep lines into her face, but her eyes remain clear and purposeful. Behind her, the last functioning command center operates with the same disciplined efficiency that characterized humanity throughout their final chapter. "Greetings, Ambassador Xelvora," she says, her voice slightly distorted by the deteriorating transmission. "Earth's final countdown has begun. Atmospheric integrity will fail completely within 48 hours. The remaining volunteer crews are initiating the launch sequence for the last seed ships now." Dr. Chen. Selvora responds, her scales shifting to deep purple, the color her species reserves for profound respect. The Concordate bears witness to humanity's final act. Your legacy is assured. A subtle smile crosses Chen's weathered face. We've received confirmation that the first wave of seed ships has reached their destinations. Terraforming processes have already begun on 17 worlds. In time, Earth will bloom again among the stars. And the Concordate will ensure they remain protected, Xelvora promises. The monitoring stations have been repurposed as guardians rather than watchers. This transformation represents perhaps the most significant change within the Concordate, from suspicious observation to dedicated protection of humanity's legacy. The matter-energy conversion technology that humanity freely shared has been studied but not weaponized, instead revolutionizing energy production throughout Concordate worlds. The principles behind humanity's final choice, preservation over destruction, creation over conquest, have spawned a philosophical movement that transcends species boundaries. The launch sequence is initiating. Chen reports as alarms sound quietly in the background. The final 300 seed ships are preparing for departure. On Selvora's view screen, Earth's orbit transforms into a constellation of light as the massive vessels power up their engines simultaneously. Despite 5 years of careful observation, the sight still inspires awe among the watching aliens. One by one, the ships break from their construction platforms and form a spiraling formation above the dying world. We're receiving transmission from all vessels, the communications officer reports. Each confirms programmed destination and mission parameters. The last human outposts. Xelvora inquires softly. Internal atmospheric systems failing at both poles, comes the solemn reply. Life support will terminate within 6 hours. Dr. Chen's transmission continues uninterrupted, her composure unchanged despite this final countdown. Ambassador, humanity entrusts its legacy to the stars and to the Concordate's wisdom. The seed ships carry not just our world's life, But the lesson we hope survives us. That true strength lies not in striking first or most often, but in having the wisdom to know when not to strike at all. The massive formation of seed ships begins to disperse, each vessel accelerating toward its programmed destination, carefully selected worlds across the galaxy where Earth's biosphere will find new expression. Their departures create a spectacular display, like a reverse supernova, light spreading outward from a dying center. This is Dr. Eleanor Chen, final transmission from United Earth Command. Her voice remains steady even as warning lights flash behind her. Remember us not by our end, but by what continues. The transmission terminates. Minutes later, sensors detect the final failure of Earth's polar habitats. Humanity has completed its journey. Zelvora moves to the observation deck, watching as the last seed ships vanish into the distance, bearing their precious cargo of life and knowledge to distant stars. She activates her recording device, speaking the final entry for the Conquerors archives. Humanity's greatest technology wasn't their matter-energy conversion process, but their capacity to face extinction with such extraordinary grace that they transformed potential adversaries into the caretakers of their legacy. Earth as a planet may be lost, but humanity's impact on our galaxy has only begun. On thousands of worlds across the cosmos, Earth will bloom again, not as conquered territory or desperate refuge, but as the deliberate legacy of a species that, when confronted with their end, chose creation over destruction, hope over despair, and struck just once, not with weapons, but with wisdom. As the _eternal witness prepares to depart the system, Zelvora remains at the viewport, watching the now quiet Earth continue its eternal orbit around its star. A world emptied of the remarkable species that had, in their final moment, taught the galaxy what true civilization means.